Hi, everyone, and welcome to game four of match six of Fearless Backgammon. And today I'm going to post two quick videos. First one is a quick game. Second is quite an exciting game, but I'll get to that. Let's focus on the quick one, which is a double five blitz. And it doesn't last long, but it's instructive. And there's a fairly major mistake. And so let's have a look at that, and then we'll get to the really interesting game after that. Okay. Okay, so this is game four, and white is winning 3-2, which means four away, five away. Okay. The four-away score is a score where you do look for gammonish cubes, right? Because if you can double someone a little earlier and win a gammon, then you win the match. So that's something to keep in mind here. And so black starts with 5-1. Okay, and naturally he splits the back checker, though keep in mind that slotting is also reasonable here, okay, because black is behind in the score especially. It's considered a little bit of a mistake by XG, but um, it's not bad, okay, but yeah, normal is just to split from the back. Okay, and white rolls double five. Now, it's natural, of course, to hit and then make the 3 point as well. But with black splitting, notice that the play of just making the 3 point is not really far behind, right? And this is partly because of this checker here, right? And the idea is that once white breaks the 8 point to make the 3 point, then sixes from the bar, not all, but some sixes from the bar will hit. So even though it is correct to make the 3 point, okay, to make the extra point in your home board, keep in mind that it's actually not too bad, especially with white being the leader, to just make the 3 point and preserve the structure. But on the other hand, as I mentioned, white would like a gammon. And this is the best path towards getting that, though white does sacrifice some winning chances as a result. Yeah. Okay. So um, black enters and hits, as I mentioned, right? With the six, the 4-6. So the blitz is not looking very good at this point. White has basically run out of ammunition to a certain degree. And so now he's got to try to pull things back together and try to get the back checkers moving and take advantage of his racing lead, which is not huge now after the hit, right? Okay, but white does roll a double two. And so uh, might as well hit, especially since black does have a blot right out in the outfield. And obviously making the 11 is also very important. Okay, so a nice roll. Black hits yet again. Okay, and brings down another checker, which is decent, right? He wants to try to start priming the back white checkers if possible with four white checkers back. You want to set up a position to be able to prime them if you can. And so that builder on the 11 is quite useful. Okay. Um, White rolls a reasonable number here. He comes in with a 3 and hits with the 5. Luckily, he has a spare on his midpoint in order to hit. Okay. Um, and here we have a mistake. Okay, so black enters, but the 6 It's not very convenient, right? And it seems reasonable just to jump out. Okay. But it does give some extra shots. One of the issues here is Black would really like to anchor. It's going to be a long game. Okay. And it's not likely that Black is going to be able to get through this sequence without getting hit. Okay. So it makes a little more sense to stay back with the two checkers. And okay, if you get hit, that's okay, but hopefully you can then anchor on the five, the opponent's 5 or 4 point. Okay. And then start, as I said, start looking at priming your opponent and taking advantage of the fact that this structure is pretty weak in the long term, right? It's taken away a lot of white's flexibility. So that's the idea here with not playing the six out. Okay. And as you can see, XG wants to use the six for a tempo hit. Okay. Um, it's not like there's going to be a huge problem if you get hit here. As I said, hopefully you get hit and then enter. Hopefully it's not a double hit, but the idea is to try to anchor up. Okay. Um, Now, notice this is a blunder, what Black plays. And even this move, okay, coming in to Black's 5 point is even better than just jumping out with a checker. Okay. Um, but the tempo hit is best here. So keep that in mind. It's something you got to look out for, a tempo hit like this, but you don't want to overdo it. You have to think about each situation, each context, because there are situations where you've got a checker on the 2 point and maybe it doesn't get hit, but then it's not very much an asset. You might cover it, and then your structure is compromised as well. Okay. So anyways, Black jumps out and White rolls a nice number. He rolls 3-1 and hits two checkers. Okay. And I guess the blitz is on again. Somewhat surprisingly, but the double twos really made a big difference, right? In terms of the possibility of continuing that blitz. And lo and behold, Black rolls a double three. Horror of horrors, right? Two men on the bar. White is definitely the favorite to make a fourth point, a fourth homeboard point on his 5 point. So now the question is, what's the cube action? And I think a lot of players here would be tempted to think, two men on the bar, likely to make a fourth homeboard point. This is probably too good to double, right? And it would seem reasonable, yeah. But this is the problem, right? That white has four back checkers. Okay. And white's kind of forward position, there's not a lot of ammunition, right? You don't have any spares off the midpoint to bring down to attack necessarily. Okay. And if you do bring these down to attack, then these guys are cut off at the back. So all in all, the structure is not ideal. And also keep in mind, okay, that even if you do cover on your 5 point as white, um, Black still is kind of in the game because basically he's got still, right, 2 points to enter. Yeah. And so he's a favorite to enter with at least one checker. And yeah, it's true he has a blot, okay? But the lack of attacking checkers here, the lack of ammunition for white, means that he's got good chances of surviving a and potentially making an anchor on the two, the opponent on the 23 point or on the 21 point. And white still has all these checkers to bring around. It's a lot of work. Okay, now it's true that black might dance. Okay, there are dangers, but it's not too good to double in this case. Okay, because of those reasons. Now, so white correctly doubles and black correctly passes. Okay, and if we look at the evaluation, okay, you can see that it's not too good, but it's certainly, high winning chances and high gammons. But black has a 34% chance of winning this game. Okay, so that's why it's not too good to double, even though there are 40% gammons. Okay. Um, now, keep in mind, of course, especially at this score, it's a huge pass. Okay, because remember, a doubled gammon wins white the match, and 40% gammons is just too much to play with at this point. Yeah. Okay. So white correctly doubles and black correctly passes. Um, it's worth, because blitzes, especially double five blitzes, happen fairly frequently. It's worth trying to find some resources to learn a little more about take and pass points and situations where you can take, because blitzes are scary, but you'd be surprised at how often you can actually take after a double five blitz. Clearly, if it's only one checker on the bar, it helps in terms of taking. Two checkers, you have to be more careful, of course. But again, you'd be surprised at how often there are takes in these situations. Simply because if you survive the blitz, White's position is a little compromised, right? Structurally and in terms of flexibility. Um, so it's worth trying to find some resources, some books, perhaps some courses and things like that, looking at blitzing doubles and when you can take that kind of thing. And obviously when you should double or not, or when you should play on. It's often the case where you double out your opponent like here. Okay, but anyways, so white wins 1 point. Okay. And so now the score is 4-2, so 3 away, 5 away. Okay. And we're going to see quite an interesting game next. Okay. And a bit wild. So let's see what happens. So hope you enjoyed that and look out for the next one. Thanks.